It was a bright winter morning in Brazil's southern state of Santa Catarina. The sun cast a gentle golden hue over the lush, green valleys of Praia Grande, where the mountains and forests meet the sky in a calm, endless dance. In this tranquil corner of the world, known fondly as the Brazilian Cappadocia, hot air balloons rise every morning, painting the sky with vibrant colors as couples and tourists float gently above the earth. But on June 21st, 2025, what began as a dreamlike ascent into the clouds turned into a quiet, haunting tragedy that would leave a lasting shadow over this peaceful town. Praia Grande, nestled in the southernmost region of Brazil, is a picturesque destination with deep valleys and towering cliffs. The area has gained popularity over the years for its surreal ballooning experiences. Much like Turkey's famous Cappadocia, it attracts adventurers and lovers alike who come to soar above the landscape in brightly colored balloons. With nearly 100 flights each day, especially around the romantic holiday of Dia dos Namorados on June 12th, hot air ballooning had become a cherished tradition for many. Visitors would gather before dawn, sipping warm drinks and watching as the balloons slowly inflated, ready to carry them high into the sky for a 45-minute journey they'd never forget. The flights were typically safe. Each balloon was licensed by Brazil's National Civil Aviation Agency, known as ANAC. The pilots were trained, the baskets were inspected, and the operation followed local regulations, though the agency itself had long considered hot air ballooning a high-risk activity. Tour companies like Sobervoorservicos Turísticos, which operated in Praia Grande, prided themselves on their clean safety records and cheerful customer experiences. The balloons themselves could carry up to 24 passengers, each paying around 550 Brazilian reais, roughly $100, for the ride of a lifetime. That Saturday morning seemed perfect for flight. The sky was clear, the winds calm, and the atmosphere was filled with anticipation as passengers stepped into the 6-meter-wide basket. They smiled for photos, held hands, and looked out across the horizon as the balloon began its peaceful ascent. For the first 2 minutes, everything was as expected. The balloon floated gently, rising toward the clouds in what should have been a beautiful, unforgettable experience. But something went terribly wrong. At approximately 9:30 a.m., just minutes after takeoff, a fire broke out inside the basket. Witnesses later recalled seeing flames flicker and grow rapidly, and passengers began to panic. The pilot, realizing the danger, tried to lower the balloon so that people could jump to safety. Some managed to leap from the burning basket, landing with injuries but alive. Others, frozen by fear or unable to escape in time, remained inside. As the weight lightened, the balloon suddenly rose again, now partially engulfed in flames and carrying with it those who could not get out. Moments later, the fire fully overtook the balloon. It collapsed in midair and plummeted toward the ground. The crash occurred near a wooded area, just 2 kilometers from the original takeoff site, close to a local healthcare center. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, around 30 firefighters supported by rescue vehicles and even an aircraft. But by the time they arrived, the damage had been done. 8 people lost their lives in that short, devastating span of time. 4 died from the fire itself. The other 4 perished in the fall. Among the victims were 2 couples, a mother and her daughter, a beloved ophthalmologist, and a young figure skater. Most of them were from Santa Catarina and neighboring Rio Grande do Sul, in the area to enjoy the long holiday weekend celebrating Corpus Christi. In the aftermath, the surviving passengers, many of them injured and in shock, were treated at the Nossa Senhora de Fatima Municipal Hospital. 2 were reported to have sustained second-degree burns. One witness described seeing a woman covered in mud, dazed and unable to speak, alongside a limping man. Nearby, 2 lifeless bodies lay on the ground, a sight that would remain etched in the memory of all who were present that day. The town, and indeed the country, mourned deeply. Just days earlier, another hot air balloon accident had occurred in Capela do Alto, São Paulo, where a 27-year-old woman celebrating Dia dos Namorados with her husband lost her life. That balloon was found to be unlicensed. It had crashed carrying 35 people, injuring more than 10. In a separate incident, yet another balloon came down near Maresias Beach in São Sebastião. Although no one was seriously injured in that event, it added to the growing concern around balloon safety in Brazil. Following the Praia Grande crash, the company responsible, Sobervor Servicos Touristicos suspended its operations indefinitely. The firm stated that it had always complied with aviation rules and had no history of prior accidents. But as questions mounted, investigations began swiftly. The state's public safety secretary, Flavio Graf, confirmed that an inquiry was underway and results would be made public within a month. The pilot gave his testimony to civil police, and officials prepared to gather accounts from all survivors to better understand what had led to the fire. Multiple agencies joined the effort to uncover the truth, including the Aeronautical Accidents Investigation and Prevention Center, Santa Catarina's Fire Department, and Scientific Police. Preliminary findings hinted that the fire may have been caused by a malfunction in the blowtorch, the device responsible for generating hot air to lift the balloon. The weather conditions were ideal and the balloon had permission to fly, something in the equipment had failed catastrophically. Social media videos circulated, showing the balloon ablaze mid-air, with small figures leaping from its sides, haunting reminders of how quickly joy had turned to fear. The tragedy touched hearts across Brazil. Governor Jorginho Melo released a video expressing his sorrow and promising full support to the victims' families. He directed the state's resources to provide assistance and stay closely involved in the investigation. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also offered his condolences publicly, sharing a message of solidarity on social media. He assured that federal, state, and local forces were all working together to help those affected and to prevent further loss. In a place once known for its beauty and romance, the silence that followed was heavy. The colorful balloons, once a symbol of joy and wonder, were now grounded. The sky over Praia Grande remained still, the hills below cloaked in an unusual quiet. Families gathered to grieve their loved ones, to hold one another, and to try and make sense of what had happened. For many, this tragedy was not just about a single moment of failure. It was a reminder of how fragile our happiest experiences can be. Yet amid the sorrow, there were glimmers of humanity. Neighbors opened their homes to victims' families. Hospitals worked tirelessly to heal the injured. Strangers lit candles and left flowers near the crash site. And around the world, people paused to send thoughts, prayers, and love to those who had lost so much in such a short span of time. The story of the Santa Catarina balloon crash was not just a story of loss. It was a story of how deeply people can care, even for those they've never met. As investigations continue and regulations are reviewed, there remains a collective hope that no one else will suffer such a fate again. The hills of Praia Grande will one day see balloons rise again, but they will do so in remembrance of the lives lost, the lessons learned, and the quiet strength of a community that endured. And so, as the night deepens and the world settles into stillness, may we carry with us the memory of those 8 gentle souls who drifted into the sky on a peaceful morning, chasing beauty, and were called home too soon.